Welcome to the Innovation Iowa podcast. I'm Business Record Editor Sarah Dean. Innovation Iowa connects and activates the people and organizations that are transforming Iowa. This is a special series of 5 episodes. Each one will tell a story related to one of 5 key parts of Iowa's innovation ecosystem: capital, startups, corporations, education, and community organizations. This is episode number 4, focused on risk capital and investments. For this series, we're going to be taking you on a journey. We're going to look back and look forward, because to truly understand innovation in our state, we have to know the stories of those who came before us, understand the current moment we're in, and inspire you with the perspectives of people who are working to make our state better in the future. Let's dive in. In this episode, we'll check in on the state of startup capital in Iowa and discuss how the state can attract and develop the businesses and ideas that will move us forward. Joining us here is Business Record staff writer Lisa Rossi to host our conversation. And joining her is Tej Dhawan, co-founder of angel investing group Plains Angels and the state's latest innovation fund, 2946 Ventures. He is a strong advocate for startups in Iowa and their connection to the greater Midwest and beyond, working closely with regional angel and venture entities. Lisa, I'll hand things over to you to start us off.
All right. Hi, Tej. How you doing?
Hey, good, Lisa. How are you?
Good. So good. I thought I would start off with kind of a broad question. And that is, how would you characterize the startup ecosystem in Iowa?
So first off, thank you for creating this discussion. The ecosystem grows when we talk about what's working, what's not working, what's on our future agendas. And as you know, my history takes me back to the startup ecosystem as it was quite nascent in late 2008-9 timeframe. I entered the ecosystem through conversations with people like Andrew Kerplani, Christian Renaud, Ben Milne, and a few others. And it's been fun to watch it evolve over the last 16 years. It has grown and it has shrunk in these few years. The last 6-ish years have been a period of growth. And the growth I am observing is not just in the number of companies that are being formed, but also in the maturity they're able to achieve, the type of impact they're able to have within and outside Iowa, and the type of people they have hired here, as well as beyond the state's borders, to truly grow these companies. So I see it as a period of positive growth over the last several years.
And why do you think it's been growing during that time? What factors are contributing to that?
Multiple, I think, as always is the case, right? So an evolution like this takes a long time, and the arc of that long period of time has to be observed from almost afar to see what worked, what did not. I think the pandemic did have a hugely positive impact in that it broke us out of that realm of thinking that an entity had to be built in a single place. So as we look at the most successful of the startups amongst us, we see that they are hiring the talent where it sits rather than having to attract every single individual to central Iowa or other parts of the state. So the pandemic made remote work and remote connectivity amongst the right people possible. So that's one. The second is, we used to have pockets that sponsored startup activity, the state being the largest sponsor of all such activities. So the state of Iowa, for the last 45-ish years, has always had some sort of a program to invest in young companies. But the other components of a healthy ecosystem, essentially universities and colleges, risk capital, entrepreneurs, and corporates, had different layers or levels of maturity in contributing to that ecosystem. In these last 6 years, through some of our some focused efforts and others that were organic, we were able to have conversations together to bring those five components together, and then help the startups in whichever way they needed it, rather than us ecosystem builders trying to force a singular methodology. So I think that type of co-evolution has been quite instrumental in helping this ecosystem grow.
I'm curious to know what makes a startup attractive to investors, a startup in Iowa.
Um, the the factor that makes any company attractive to any investor is universal. So the in Iowa portion of the question is probably not as important to me. I look at the company's prospect to grow in their assumed market. Iowa, it's no secret we are about a single 1% of the nation's population, which in turn is less than 4% of the global population. So from numbers, we aren't even a rounding error. So the startups that are being successful are saying, where do we fit in the global ecosystem? How do we go after that ecosystem and then execute toward that ecosystem? So from an investor's perspective, it's finding that logic, believing in that logic, or helping the startup strategize to achieve that type of a market is what leads to success. So as I think about any number of companies that are succeeding uh, locally, nationally, or beyond, they are succeeding because they're looking at their market as a whole rather than just situated within the two rivers.
I want to talk a little bit about angel investing. What do you wish that more startups understood about angel investing?
Um, well, so the first part of that question would be, I wish startups understood that angel investing is not um, donations, philanthropy, or grants. This is a group of individuals who come together and invest their own money, so their income, their assets, their money into the startup's dream, and ultimately want to profit with and from the startup. Because it's not philanthropy, it has a very capitalistic bend to it, and that bend requires that the company remain focused on creating customer value, building a profitable enterprise, and ultimately leading to an exit in form of a sale that not only returns capital to the investor, but then also circulates that money back into the ecosystem, just like talent circulates back into the ecosystem. So that's the first part. The second part is startups that are successful are the perfect future angels. So it's not a one and done. This is a circular ecosystem. It is a virtuous cycle. So the angels who invested 20 years ago uh, expect to see some of those startups amongst the group now, so that the investing cycle continues far longer than any of us would be alive and investing.
I'm going to flip that question that I asked you now, because I know you've been part of the startup world and you cover startups. And I wanted to ask you, what do you wish angel investors understood about startups?
Um, so angels understand that they are investing small or large pools of capital in these young companies. Um, it is easy to forget that what appears routine to us as investors is that startup founders dream, probably the biggest risk they've ever taken in their life, and it is their blood, sweat, and tears. Um, it's not just a spreadsheet to the founder. It's not just a balance sheet or an income statement, but it is in many ways their life, and we need to respect it as such.
What are some barriers to growing risk capital in Iowa?
I used to believe that the biggest barrier was getting uh, people past imagining this risk as extra high or extra high levels of risk. I don't think it is. I think it's exposing our market to the presence of this risk. So if you think of the central Iowa market, for sure, we are an insurance and financial services hub. Many would incorrectly say that we are risk averse. No, we are an industry that makes money by accurately computing risk and then pricing for it. That's what insurance is all about. That's what banking is all about. How do you recognize risk, price it, and then invest in it? Uh, so today, the central Iowa metropolitan areas, at least, have nearly 6,500 people who would qualify to be angel investors from their um, net worth or their portfolios or their income levels. But fewer than 100 actually work in this space, are actually invested in this space. So I don't think it's a risk aversion problem. I think it's a marketing problem. We just haven't reached those who have the ability, willingness, wherewithal to invest in risk capital.
So what do you want to do about that? What are some solutions to get those? I mean, 6,000 to 100, those are some stark numbers. How do you market to those people and tell them, the
Constant,
story?
constant conversations like this one. It's well understood that when a new business is formed, the first money generally comes from friends and family. Actually, there are three F's, right? Friends, families, and fools. Fools who just dump money with faith in the founder. But really, it's friends and family money that's first. This very second next set of money is those angel investors. So finding the friends and families that are investing in these ideas because they've already gone past the risk hump, and showing them that there are opportunities, not just through large groups like Plains Angels, but very focused, specific groups. So there are other groups in our community. Fin Capital is a group of professional women investors who come together as a group of women who invest in broad-based companies. That's a specific focus group. Similarly, there's Ankeny Angels, which likes building Ankeny's angel ecosystem. So depending on which affinity group one feels most comfortable with, joining, belonging, and seeing what opportunities exist for business growth, and then investing when the time is right. None of these groups require a minimum investment level. None of them require a minimum attendance. They are groups formed for the express purpose of exposing new business ideas to those who can invest in them. So conversations like this help democratize the knowledge about these ecosystems and then investing in them.
Are those the big three: Plains Angels, Fin, and Ankeny Angels? Are there others that I should be aware of?
In central Iowa, those are the three.
Okay.
There are private family offices that tend to remain quite private in their names and exposure. I think partly by design, partly they are focused on a thesis, a theme of investing. But Ankeny Angels, Plains Angels, and Fin Capital are the three biggest, and all three of us actually work together. So Plains Angels, which meets monthly on the second Monday of the month, almost always has one or more representatives from both groups who are also members for cross exposure. Similarly, when Fin or Ankeny have felt the need or felt synergy between a Plains Angels member present at their meeting, we will have those cross invitations. So we're not separate, we're not competitive, we're very collaborative, but we are still affinity groups, if you would.
Nice.
Yeah.
So talking about investable businesses in Iowa, I want to know what infrastructure and support is needed in Iowa to create more investable businesses.
Honestly, Lisa, I think the number of support organizations that exist, not just in central Iowa, but across the state, is quite numerous. About 3 or 4 years ago, a small group that studied the regional entrepreneurship programs across the state created a statewide map of resources from free and largely free programs from universities, the state and local governments, the chambers of commerce, the capital formation groups, and even corporates. We have a massive collection of resources. The two things that keep entrepreneurs from accessing those resources, first is hesitation to go ask for them, and second is knowledge about them. So something that you did 2.5 years ago with the Innovation Iowa magazine that was focused on resources really expanded the reach of these programs. But as I go through conversations, and I recently had a conversation like that with the West Des Moines Chamber and Foundation, looking at what programs should be created, and I put the chart of all the statewide programs saying, we have a plethora here. What we are missing is the number of entrepreneurs across the state, and those who exist reaching out to those programs and using them. So I wouldn't create new programs. I would ask those who are looking at creating a program to dig in and see if their program would be duplicative to the ones that already exist, and lean in and help those programs instead, rather than create another duplicative program.
This is my last question. What sort of ideas do we need from startups to move Iowa forward, do you think?
So we have multiple core industries in the state. Our mainstay, of course, is ag and ag sciences, but it's still little known that our top two industries still remain manufacturing and financial services, and there just aren't sufficient number of ideas coming in either of those two places. So if we look at financial services, for example, there's the Global Insurance Accelerator that attracts 6 to 10 companies a year to an annual acceleration class. And more of those participants come from outside the state, outside the region, several times from outside the country. Why is it that we're not generating sufficient ideas, even in an insurance and financial services hub of Des Moines, to go after, to be aspirational toward owning this market more? So we need more ideas in financial services. We need far more ideas in insurance services. We have nearly 81 companies headquartered around surrounding us. We have CEOs and their teams who happily lean in at seminars like the Global Insurance Symposium last week to help innovation happen in these regions, but we don't have sufficient number of startups in that space. Similarly, in manufacturing, and this really applies to rural Iowa, where so much unique manufacturing is happening, more ideas will lead to more investments of that uninvested capital. A lot of startups will typically say or repeat the adage that we don't have sufficient capital in the state. But if you look at the programs, the venture funds, the state matching dollars, the tax credits, none of those are fully deployed, which means capital exists seeking good companies, but the good companies aren't coming to the table. So we need far greater numbers of entrepreneurship to truly grow and move forward. Without that, any number of programs are pointless.
Well, this has been very educational as always. Thank you so much, Tej, for joining us. Before we go, I'm going to hand it back over to Sarah, who's going to take a look ahead of our final episode in this special series.
Thanks, Lisa. And thank you, Tej, for joining us. It's always great to hear your insights on the innovation ecosystem. If you'd like to learn more about this topic and read more stories of Iowa innovations, head over to our website. On our next and final episode in this series, we are looking ahead to the future of innovation as people, startups, and organizations across Iowa step into the AI era, and we look at how it could transform innovation in the state. We hope you join us on the next step of this journey.